the stock market is taking an absolute hit, but I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to tell you why things most likely in the short term continue to go bad. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you're going to have a recession of 2022 or, the 2020 pullback, things like that. But it's important to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and ultimately what you should be looking at in the market. Now, the first thing that we need to understand is you look at the NASDAQ. Let's talk about the big points here on the chart. Now, I'm not going to make the whole video about the chart, but I think it's important that we know where we're at because this points to a lot of overall direction. Now, number one with the NASDAQ, the yellow line represents your 200 daily moving average. And this is going to put a really big emphasis on why most people you shouldn't trust, including to a certain extent me, right? You should fact check everything that I say, right? You should not blindly follow anyone on the internet with your finances, okay? The NASDAQ has been above its 200 daily moving average, which has justified a bull trend for almost 2 years now, going back to March of 2023, which I really can't believe it's been that long. But that's how long you've been going up in a straight line, basically. Every time you've hit the 200, it's been a buying opportunity. Back, we remember this past August was a pretty great, you dipped down, bounced out of it, and you kind of didn't look back. But now you're kind of flipping it. I wouldn't say you flipped it yet, but you're close. And it seems like this is a real catalyst for downside, right? Now, going into the SPY, right? Some of you like to just chart SPY instead of everything else. I have a few levels on here, but we'll go into that in a second. You're flipping the 100 daily moving average. This is not futures. This is just SPY. If I go into Qs, you'll see as well, you're still above the 200 as well. Okay, so SPY, you're above the 200, but look at the flip here on the daily. You broke, you retested, you shot down. That was the concern that I mentioned to you yesterday. If you couldn't hold that level, you could not go long, right? And then you broke back down, got below 585, and probably going to push down towards 575, 571, right? Now, when we go into ES futures, which is the SPY futures, you're right there on your 200, ready to break down. If you break this, again, this is not a good sign, right? This is your previous high here back from July. It's also your major support. If you lose this, it's going to be painful. It's going to be bad, right? We need to be very clear. This, not good. If you lose this, not good at all. So all we need to know right now when we look at the charts is that you have a lot on the line, right? Clear as day. You are on major spots, major make or break points, right? So I say that to say this, and I'm going to go into why this is happening and why it's going to keep happening in a second. But it's important that we get a grip of what's actually happening in the market. Okay. You are at a point to where things could flip in a short period of time. You're seeing your strongest areas of the market, like semiconductors and tech, become your weakest. And things that have worked for the past 2 years might stop working as far as day trading. Okay. And very few times do you see me on the channel flip my bias when it comes to long-term viewpoints, right? Up until this past 2 weeks, I would maybe even 3, I would say I've been looking to buy the bounce. But now things have changed because we have a real viewpoint of downside. Now, when you go on Twitter, especially Twitter, there's a lot of accounts. And you need to understand, social media is a game of can I generate the most clicks? Because if I generate more clicks, I will make more money. Now, again, I can afford to be transparent here because number one, I'll be totally honest. I don't make a lot of money from YouTube. I really don't. I can show you how much. I don't care. If you really want me to show you, I'll show you in the next video. I don't care. But the other part of that, I think I'm a decent trader and my taxes relay that back to me. So I can afford to not have to, but I'm not making $100,000 a month off of the social media. So it's okay. Like maybe if I start making that much, I might, I'm just saying, I might have a little bit more pressure on me. But these other accounts push buy. Because when you buy 30 different stocks and one of them pops up and you say, oh, this is the winner, it generates this viewpoint that, oh, he's only winning. Because if someone's not showing you losses as well, you see what I mean? There's an issue. Because you start to get this unhealthy view. And unfortunately, most people that follow, even me sometimes, can be dumb, can be naive. And that's not a good thing, right? So I want that to be very, very transparent and clear. Now, when we go, that was going to be scary if that was real. But so when we go into this, just hear me out because there's actually bad stuff happening. Number one, Trump. Okay. Trump today confirms he had a big press conference with the CEO, I think, of TSM. announced what they're going to be doing. The investments, it was cool. It was good. Long term, honestly, semiconductors, pray to God that we dip. You should pray. If you have cash on hand, you should pray to God that we dip. You should be praying. You should be, thank you. Give me an opportunity to buy the dip because I was dumb and I didn't buy it in 2022. Or I just didn't have enough money in 2022, right? I have generated a lot more. So I'm happy that we get this dip. It's a big opportunity. So again, good news overall. Short term, he said, guys, 25% tariffs takes effect tomorrow, right? They asked him about it. He said, Mexico, Canada, that's happening tomorrow. And then on top of that, guess what? The external reciprocal tariffs, agriculture tariffs, that's going to start happening on April 4th, guys. April 4th is when that's going to happen. And now the market's like, oh, this guy's he's not putting this off. He's not bluffing, right? The market immediately, from the point of Donald Trump announcing those tariffs, I want to be abundantly clear with you. From the moment he was on that press conference and they were talking all about TSM and all the good stuff happening, okay? The moment this man, and he's been transparent, he's going to do it. No one believed him for some reason. You went from here, 20,820 on NASDAQ futures, and you proceeded to drop roughly 500 points to the downside. 500 points in under 40 minutes. It was incredible. It was awesome. I'm not going to lie. It was great. Discord, congratulations. It was cool. The Dow, I've been telling you, biggest opportunity. The 100 MA, you dropped 1,000 points. You dropped 1,000 points total today on Dow. Awesome. Super cool. Great. Right? NVIDIA, you dropped from a 118 down to 112. Significant selling. Apple flipped, AVGO, everything just went straight down. I mean, AVGO is just dying the past, and I've been talking to you guys a lot about AVGO. That's what's happening. So why is this? Is this a sell the news event? Is this not really bad? Guys, I want to paint you a very clear picture. And this is, I encourage people on this channel to think logically. Everything I say, I try not to put fear I just like say the facts and then we kind of talk about it. If you guys have questions, I comment, whatever like that may be. And if you have other questions, you want a quicker response, follow me on Twitter. Again, on Twitter, I try to make this stuff as easy for you to understand. I try to give you updated information, things along those lines. Another thing that I posted on Twitter today too, I don't want to forget, is again, we talked about the GDP expectations. You guys remember that? You remember we talked about this? I think it was on Thursday or Friday. Well, remember they lowered from like 2%, positive 2% down to negative 1.5%. Well, today they lowered it again. I mean, they're just updating the GDP expectations every day, it seems like, down to negative 2.8%. Yeah, not good. Again, if the market's pricing in no growth, maybe negative growth, probably not a good thing. So again, Twitter is where you can get all this. I post it all today. It's totally free. Now, if you guys want to get paid content as well, I want to be transparently clear. You can follow on Discord. I post every single day there as well, right? So I want to be really clear. If you want to see all of our trades, everything like that, today we traded. I let you guys know we traded the Dow again. The short, I said trade of the day happening here below 44K down. You went past expectations. Obviously, Jordan today, he called the absolute low on NASDAQ down to 20,315. This was posted again at 8 a.m. this morning, as you can see there, 30 minutes before market open. And then Jordan also traded NVIDIA and ARM to the downside as well, which was also called out. Said keep it on ARM. Below 126, we're looking for the downside to 121.5 right there as well. Again, I don't just show my gains, things like that. It's all there as well for you guys. Now, again, I post when I lose. I posted my Celsius loss last week, things like that. I even posted my initial, what was it? Apple? I think my Apple short I lost money on too last week. But anyway, so that's there for you. The point of it is, though, I want to paint this really clear picture, okay? For people out there calling that, look, there's a bottom you need to be buying. Okay? Let's play devil's advocate to that idea. Trump literally did this. Literally happened last week. Trump came out originally and said, we're going to do a 10% tariff on China. All things China, we're going to tariff 10%, right? The market reacted, whatever, the end. Donald Trump wakes up one morning. I think it was like Thursday, maybe Wednesday. He wakes up and he's like, you know what? We're tariffing Mexico and Canada. This is literally happened. He tweeted it. You know what? We tariff those 25%. Double it. We're going to double it on China. And then the market was like, holy is he actually going to do it? And then he announced it today again in his press conference, which had nothing to do with tariffs, by the way, the press conference. But He answered the question. So the market reacted like you probably thought it would, to the downside immediately. So I say all to say this. There's a few things in the market that are extremely bearish. The number one thing that's bearish in the market, besides the Fed raising rates nonstop and inflation, this and that, the number one bearish situation in the market is uncertainty. I say it all, if the market doesn't know what to anticipate, what's next, the reaction, that is the most bearish thing that you could expect out there, because investors don't want to be on their heels, right? You can see money outflows when there's a lot of uncertainty. It's a risk off environment. And that is what it's taking place right now, is because we don't know what's happening with these tariffs, and it's just more and more and more. And I don't think tariffs are done. Now, the big part here too is the effects of tariffs are not going to take place immediately. They're going to take place over time. So we won't really see the impacts on inflation for some time. So again, I think this is just a really big area to where you need to be careful. You'll see when buyers start to get aggressive back in the market, when you start seeing high volume. And I mentioned this was the end of the month, so that was a little scary there as well. They just saw a bounce there. Now you're below your 200. Something that you saw in the past 2 years is everyone's genius when you're in a bull market. Everybody. Because it's simple. You just buy as you're grinding your 200 daily moving average, like any bullish stock, like Nvidia. There was no reason to ever go short on this name for like long term while you're just grinding your 100-day and 200-day moving average. Now we start to flip those and this gets ugly quick. Now, does that mean it's a buy in the long term? Probably. I think it is going to be a major buy. I think there's going to be huge opportunities. We'll talk all about this. But the problem is differentiating between what's actually happening. And what you're going to see is these people that we worship, that we are all following on Twitter, and like, how do they never lose? They post 30 different trades, but they only post their winners. Weird, right? It's pretty weird. And again, you're going to notice there'll be fewer and fewer winners because the market is not moving in a straight up manner anymore. Okay? SPY, Qs, finally, things could be changing here in reality. Now, again, I've been one of the biggest bulls out there. But when it's time to get serious and things are starting to actually change, this isn't the greatest look. That midpoint down here, SPY starts to break below 575 and your 200 SMA here, we get into a real conversation of like, how far do we go down? Do we come down to 540? Like, what's the next steps from those points, right? NASDAQ as well, QQQ. This is a double top. This is, top. And again, this is actually crazy that I'm like, we're looking at this. Your neckline, you're breaking below. I'm just below your 200 daily moving average. I'm looking for 480 lower as well. Brutal, tough. It is what it is. But that's what you have to expect. And you have to acknowledge where you're at. You can't just continue doing the same thing if the market's not giving you the same opportunity. You have to understand that. Now, I'm not saying forever the market's going to go straight down and there's pain and the market's never going to recover and it's a 2020 recession, things like that. But it's important that you look at the market from an unbiased viewpoint about what's actually happening. And if you don't understand, just ask questions. Like, most people should be able to answer a question like, what's happening with tariffs? Is it actually bearish? Things like that. Like, what's going on there, right? Is this just the beginning, right? When should you actually start buying? And anyone that's just saying, like, if you're like short-term buying options, guys, just buy your options. Buy now, baby. It's value. I agree. NVIDIA here is value. TSM here is value. But I'm not going to start buying when there's no buyers in the market. What do you win for being the first person out there? Nothing at all, right? If you like your stock and you're okay holding it down 20%, then buy it. Do what you want. Like, buy your stock. Stock should be a totally different mindset than options and day trading and swing trading. Okay. So understand that. What I'm looking at, what I'm watching. I'll give you guys more updates. But overall, right now, you need to be watching three big names: NVIDIA, AVGO, and Apple. And Apple is, if Apple flips this level, 237, 236, it's going to be bad. This is going to lead to more downside, because right now you're seeing all this downside without Apple. And again, I mean, you've had some downside here, but there's the NASDAQ is the big three: AVGO, NVIDIA, and Apple. When those move in the same direction, either really good things happen or really bad things, but you get good movement. That's what you can guarantee. So what I'm watching, what I'm looking for. If you have questions, please comment down below. But as of right now, I'm looking at the NASDAQ. As long as you're holding below your 200 daily moving average, which is basically 20,700, ES, I'm watching for us to break and mount below this level as well. Again, like, this is dangerous. This is bad territory. The Dow is getting killed right now. It's probably going down to your 200 daily moving average as well. So what I'm watching, how I'm trading it, what I'm looking at. If you have questions, comment down below. Twitter, everything like that. I love answering you guys' questions. Discord links down below. See you guys tomorrow. I might have a video later tonight as well.